Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. Today we are reviewing the phenomenal game of Finland versus Sweden. It was a 4-3 victory from Finland in overtime, and so we're gonna go over a couple of the goals and everything, and just the mindset I was what I saw when I was watching the game and everything. So if you're on YouTube, you can see me going over using the goal visualizer. Unfortunately, I cannot use the actual videos, but we can use the goal visualizer, which is utilized on NHL.com with NHL Edge. And if you're listening to it on a podcast, you can watch it on YouTube, or you can just tune in. Again, I'll be giving you the play-by-play with every one of these. So make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Apple and Spotify, please just give it the 5 stars. It helps out a ton, makes the boss happy and everything. I really appreciate it. So let's just jump right into this. We got a phenomenal goal from Mika Zibanejad, who, by the way, I think needs a trade, and maybe he needed this because he did an interview, or I think he needs a trade. And the reason, pause there. I think the reason he needed a trade because I think he needs to be around more Swedish guys. I think there's a culture thing. In my opinion, that's what you're seeing with Zibanejad, Tarasenko in Detroit. And so that's my thought process. There's no other Russians, and I don't know there's a ton of Swedes on New York. There was a ton of Americans and everything. You know, JT Miller, Adam Fox, Kreider, and all that jazz. So to me, I think it's a culture thing. And he did do an interview at the Four Nations that he did say, hey, it's nice. It seems like he's really happy, he said, because he is he's a little more lit up. He can talk in his native tongue, and it's like, we're going to meetings in Swedish, and it's like he's like, I haven't been to Sweden in I think he said 10 or 12 or 14 years. It's been a very long time. So the fact that he hasn't been back and he can speak his mother tongue and everything is just huge. So talking about this first goal from Sweden and everything. Again, it's a snapshot from Zibanejad. Let's talk about the breakdown and everything using NHL Edge, and I'll give you the breakdown as well. So we got pucks behind the net and everything. You have William Nylander carrying up along the sideboards in the corner in the Finnish zone, and then along those boards, Barkov gets it away from Nylander, and it passes it up along the boards and everything, and it's kept in. Nylander recovers it, and then Barkov again strips him again of the puck, right? So what Barkov does is he takes the puck and he passes it back to Mata. Olli Mata, a phenomenal, great defenseman, but unfortunately not in this case. He actually bobbles the puck a little bit, and William Nylander kind of gets a little bit on him, and he drops it back to Mika Zibanejad, who is driving down the middle of the ice in the slot, and boom, shoots it in. Snapshot on Gustafsson. So we're talking about in the first 8 minutes of the team, or of the game, you have an unassisted goal by, and ends up being unassisted because William Nylander does not get enough control of the actual puck and everything. So it was a great little first way to start off this tournament. Moving on to the second goal we have of the game. It was actually a goal by Anton Lundell, and assisted by Lusterina and Laine. Fortunately, this is only a couple minutes into the game, by the way. At this point, shots are 4-1 Sweden, so Finland has only had one shot on the goalies at this point. So you have Finland's in the back, around the back of their net and everything, pass it along the boards, and it's recovered by Laine along the half wall. And so you have two guys. You have 67, which is Raquel, and 26. I remember who that is for Sweden. Comes in, and we're closing in on him. So Laine dumps the puck to number 27 on Finland. Okay, so that is Lusterinen right there. So Lusterinen gets the puck. He's carrying down, and he's going one-on-one with number 42 of Sweden. And then you see what happens is as he crosses from the far side of the ice, which Laine passed it to, and came across the ice. Or came back across the ice. And so he's taking and walking it down. It's a 2-on-1 with Lusterinen and Lundell. Lusterinen passes it across to Lundell and immediately gets a snapshot right into the goal. And that is a phenomenal goal. A good Florida connection. Lusterinen and Lundell both play on the Florida Panthers. So there's a great connection there. And again, by the way, I'm talking about Laine getting that partial assist too, or the secondary assist. Again, another guy, I think that he had a really hot start on Montreal, and then we're starting to see a little bit of the slowdown of him and everything, which, again, we know he's a phenomenal goal scorer, a great power play goal scorer. But this is something I think, again, similar to the way we're seeing with Sweden players and everything, Swedish players. There's some Finnish players. I think that this will be a good shakeup. And by the way, if you think about the identity of the Finnish team, this is a game that they absolutely, in my opinion, should have lost. And again, when it goes to overtime, it's a crapshoot at that point. But when you're talking about a game with Sweden, and I tweeted this on BlueSky before earlier. I think that Finland is the worst team in this. Okay, they're just they're absolutely the worst team in this tournament. Of the four, they're absolutely the worst. Then I think it goes Sweden is third, and then there's some sort of tie between Canada and US. In my opinion, it's US. But to me, again, I'm just saying that I think that it is the US is best, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. I think most people will talk about that because if you take Finland's roster, they have either their players that they picked to be on the team are injured. Heiskanen is one of them, and there's another one I forget who else is injured as well. But they have a guy who's only played like 18 NHL games on this team. He's played 18 NHL games. It's his first year. It's Matson Paulo. He's on the Ottawa Senators defenseman. They have every active Finnish player that was in the NHL that's either been on the roster and got injured or is on the roster, besides Vinny Heinola of the Winnipeg Jets, who is just not here because he didn't make the team, which is the biggest bummer that all your countrymen are there. Honestly, if I was Vinny Heinola, I'd be there anyways. Just be like, hey, like I'm here to hang out with you guys. Let's go and let's kind of have a good time. So just a party with everyone. So that is a great tied up goal. Again, now is at this point, the Finnish team has 2 shots, and then Sweden has 4 shots at a little over halfway point of the first period. And then we see with the third goal of the game, you see Mikko Rantanen getting a power play goal. So we start off with the faceoff. You have Barkov taking the faceoff again, one of the best one of the best 2-way forwards in the league. Everyone talks about how Barkov is one of the most underrated guys in the league. At this point, if he's underrated for like several years, he's no longer underrated. He's very well rated. So let's talk about this. So at the faceoff, in the Swedish zone, left dot, Barkov gets it, passes it back to Aho at the point. And then so what you see is Aho is passes down to Barkov, who ends up playing a triangle with the Swedish player, Joel Eriksson Ek, goodness gracious, of the Minnesota Wild, number 20. You see Patrick Laine, Barkov, and Aho just passing the puck back and forth. And what you see is when this happens is you see 28, 14, and 42 of Sweden. They start to close in on Barkov, and you can see that all these players are like, hey, Barkov is one of the best players in the league. So, like, we might need to protect this guy really bad. So you see they create this little triangle around Barkov, and they're trying to close it on this player and everything. And so what's happening is that the finish by doing this little, hey, Laine, Rantanen, Aho, and kind of pass it back and forth, you're drawing guys to one side of the ice. If you look at the visuals, I mean, if you're on YouTube, you can see it, but if you're on audio, what you can see is that in the Swedish zone, there are no players on the right side, no Swedish players, sorry, on the right side of the ice. There's a guy standing there in the circle dot, or the middle of the faceoff dot, and it is Mikko Rantanen waiting for a pass. And that's one of the things is you're seeing is guys are like, they're trying to be they're not thinking defensively, right? They're thinking, I get the puck. Like, they're not covering your guy and everything. Mind you, it is a power play, so I understand that. But again, you have to think that they're trying to crowd the middle of the ice so that Aho doesn't try and take a shot from the point. But again, they're totally missing Mikko Rantanen over on the side and everything. So you see Aho with the puck and everything. He pulls number 20 to the point, right? So basically now you have both the 20s. It's now a 4-on-3 in the bottom of the zone. Laine's got the puck on the half wall and everything. So Laine, you're like, oh man, we got to close in on this guy. So you see 14 starts to get pulled off of him to try and cover Laine, because Laine, guess what, is a phenomenal goal scorer, especially on the power play and everything. So you can see, but there's a great lane. You can see on the picture, Laine's taking the puck. He's walking it up, and he's like, oh, you get 3 Swedish guys following on Laine. And guess who's still open? Mikko freaking Rantanen, one of the biggest trades we saw in the last 20 years. He's a 50 goal scorer. And it's crazy to see him being traded to the Carolina Hurricanes, who gave up a huge amount for him. And there's definitely, when we saw in the last 6 games with the Carolina Hurricanes, Mikko Rantanen has had 1 point. I mean, this guy is like actually a perennial point per game player minimum. In the last 2 seasons, he has had over 100 points. So you're like, what's happening to this guy? I mean, and I understand he's bummed, right? He's traded from the Colorado Avalanche, which is a perennial, like, they're a second round team every year, especially with the cup they won. He gets traded to Carolina. But mind you, he's playing with one of his boys, right? One of his Finnish boys, Sebastian Aho, right? But again, this is another guy we were just talking about Zibanejad in the start. I think he's a guy that he might fit in Carolina because there's enough Finnish guys there. But honestly, I could absolutely see him going to open market. And there's some talks about him potentially being traded before the trade deadline. Since it's not really working out in Carolina, it could be a systems thing and everything, but we'll see. But you can see, again, continuing on to the play, you have Laine walking it down. You see he just feeds it right across to Rantanen, who doesn't get all of the stick on the puck. But again, because you're going from a complete across ice pass to a guy, he doesn't have to get everything on it because just enough force. You have to get Gustafsson to stretch all the way across to try and save that puck. He doesn't, and it goes in, and Mikko Rantanen gets his first goal of the playoffs, and is also his first shot or playoffs, first goal of the tournament, as well as his first shot of the tournament. So again, kind of a slow start from that last game against Canada, but now we're seeing on the power play, he's absolutely gunning it. So that is a phenomenal little goal for Mikko Rantanen. And as we wrap up the first period, it is 8 shots to 4 shots Sweden. So Finland has 2 shots, and they have 2 goals on 4 shots. So what ends up happening is that Gustafsson ends up getting pulled, and Ullmark goes in as the goalie for Sweden. So you get a goalie change already at the start of this tournament. So I imagine when Sweden plays in their next game against the U.S. on today, Saturday, on Monday, we'll see that you're probably going to get Ullmark in this case. So, I mean, not a bad trade. I mean, you get a Vezina winning goaltender. Yeah, you're not too mad about that at all. So we're going into the second period. It is 2-1. Finland is up. So what ends up happening is about 5 minutes into the second period, we get a play. Let's restart this. We have a play where the puck was dumped in by Raymond, and then Joel Eriksson is behind the net, is controlling the puck. He ends up dumping it back along the boards from the corner to the half wall, and Forsberg takes it, tips it to Raymond, who ends up walking it up to the point. Now, what you're not seeing in this, and I'm going to restart restart what's happening when Joel Eriksson takes the puck behind the net and rips it around to the corner. What you see is Rasmus Dahlin is slowly coming down from off the point down to the face-off dot. So because at the top of the point, what you have happening is you have Forsberg, who just comes on the ice, and then you have 42. I'm not sure who that is, but it's okay. You have 42 coming on the point. So you already have 2 guys at the point. Rasmus Dahlin is more of an offensive defenseman. He's actually he has the most points. He has the most points of any Swedish defenseman under the age of 25. So you can tell he's a point getter, right? And so what he's doing is he's creating an offensive opportunity by coming down because there's guys already covering the point. So he's slowly coming down. And by the way, he's behind number 86 on Finland. So he's not seeing him at this point because the guy's watching the puck along the half wall where Forsberg is. And of course, Forsberg is an absolute force. I mean, most of Sweden is. So you're like, okay, like what's going to happen? So Forsberg, again, they talked about tips it to Raymond. And so you have Raymond who's along the point, right? So what's he end up doing? He's walking up the slot, and he gets pressured by Olli Maatta, by the way, former Red Wings, was traded at the start of this year for a 3rd-round pick because Utah Hockey Club lost John Marino and Sean Durzi both to injury, so they needed a defenseman, so they trade for Olli Maatta. So Raymond takes it. There's a ton of traffic in front of the net, and this puck actually ends up hitting Finnish goaltender Kevin Lankinen. Hits him in the chest and kind of bobbles. So you have Eriksson in the front of this net, and it's kind of bobbling, and he tries to put it on net, right? So he's there's some fumbling and everything, and what you see is that Dahlin gets right in front of the crease, and it picks up the garbage and just pops it in because Eriksson passes it over to him. So it's a phenomenal little goal. This is Raymond's 3rd assist of the tournament. By the way, it's crazy that this 23-year-old, number 23 as well. By the way, I think he's maybe 22. He's so young. He's popping up in the start. He's over a point per game with the Detroit Red Wings. He's doing a phenomenal job. By the way, I'm biased as a Detroit Red Wings fan. Even though I'm wearing a Sharks jersey, I'm wearing an Erik Karlsson jersey, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But this is a guy who is just absolutely, completely popping off. So we're so excited to have him on Detroit Red Wings. But again, a great little goal for Rasmus Dahlin, his first of the tournament. So again, he's put up a ton of points for the Buffalo Sabres. I don't think he's the problem, especially, and you have a great captain in him as well. So And so about 5 minutes later, we get a phenomenal goal by Sweden. It is your boy, my boy, Erik Karlsson gets his first of the season. Again, I'm wearing the Erik Karlsson jersey, but let's break this thing down real quick because this is a great little feed. So we talk about resetting it. What ends up happening is Finland wins the drawdown in their zone and takes it down. Mika Rantanen takes it down, dumps it down. And then you get a little bit of recovery from William Nylander in the corner with Sasha Barkov. Nylander tips it up to Ricardo Rakell. There's a little bit of a fight. Number 62 pops it over, tries to knock it to the front of the net. Again, we have a goalie change at this point, so tries to put it on Allmark. He doesn't get it, but William Nylander ends up scoops it up. Now, but mind you, William Nylander is, besides the goalie, is deepest into the Swedish zone. So this guy literally starts to he walks it down. And who does he got? He's got Zibanejad on his left, and William Nylander, who was drafted as a center. By the way, he has not worked out a center in the NHL yet. Honestly, no one's given a big enough chance. But again, it is what it is. He's been a phenomenal winger with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So William Nylander is walking it down Main Street. He's got a 3-on-2 with Erik Karlsson on the far right side. Now, mind you, this is William Nylander. He's an absolute stud. He's a point getter. He's a goal scorer and everything. So you absolutely have to cover this guy. And you can see Mika Rantanen is trying to chase Nylander, right? So Mika Rantanen is chasing William Nylander. Again, goal scorer, point getter, phenomenal guy. And everyone's looking, the two defensemen are looking to see Mika Zibanejad because he's on the left wall, breaking into the neutral zone as well with them. And so what you see is that, again, these two Finnish guys are like, well, we got to try and stop this guy at the blue line, Nylander. So they both go to pressure Nylander. Again, he has yet to enter the zone as well, right? Just as he enters the zone, again, the pressure of these two defenders trying to block the shot from going on net. Erik Karlsson is, again, breaking right behind on the right side. Again, offensive dynamo, 101 points in the 22-23 season with the San Jose Sharks. Ends up winning the Norris Trophy because he is just so phenomenal. Again, he was all offense, all gas. He was the first defenseman to score 100 points in like 20 plus years. Like, he has the most points of any Swedish player or Swedish defender active. So Erik Karlsson, of course, again, my boy. I'm so excited. Honestly, I would love for the Red Wings to trade for him. It's not going to happen, but I would love it. So Nylander takes it, passes it over to a fairly open Erik Karlsson, right? And again, you have Mika Rantanen on him, but Erik Rantanen has gone back and forth similar to Nylander. Erik Karlsson takes it and immediately takes a snapshot. He does control it, which is really nice. Takes it and shoots it on net. Phenomenal goal from a defenseman. Again, one of the best offensive defensemen we're ever going to see in our lifetime. Like I said, phenomenal guy. Absolutely love to see that. And so huge ups for them. We're gonna take quick breaks from DraftKings, so we'll catch you guys right afterwards. Again, breaking down the rest of the goals that we're on goal. It is now currently 2-3 Sweden, so we'll break down the other two goals right after this. Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. Now, again, if you're looking at a contender like maybe the Chiefs or the Bills, you could bet them to go all the way. Or if you're just a Chiefs hater, let's say, you can bet against them up until the Super Bowl, and it's so great. So make sure to get on the action at DraftKings. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, Asian eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. And we are back, and we were talking about the Capo Caco goal. Nope, it's actually the Barkov goal that was scored. It was originally, the credit was given to Capo Caco, but they ended up reviewing it and saying it ended up being Barkov's goal. But mind you, we're in the second period. Yeah, we're in the second period at this point. It is 3-3 or 3-2. Sweden is up right now. There's 3 minutes left in the period and everything. And so what we have here is we have Olimana in the Finn zone, right? He's walking out, passes it up to Barkov as well. Barkov's walking it up and everything. He walks into the zone. He's got Rantanen behind him. He does a drop pass to Mikko Rantanen. Again, we're talking about, this is a good connection. And again, because you're playing with your countrymen and everything. By the way, side note, I guess Swedish players and Finnish players both know a decent amount of each other's languages. So there was like a huge advantage when Sweden's playing like Canada or US, or Finland's playing like Canada or US, because they can speak in their native tongues and the other team won't understand them. Unfortunately, this is not the same advantage in this game, because I think there is a lot of similarities in that sense. So I'm really curious on like that and how much they're using and everything. I'd love to. I can't wait to watch the actual, like, they're doing a whole video on the face-off and everything. By the way, go watch these games. This is so much better than the All-Star game. I just want to say, like, it is, guys have more effort. We're not getting the Kucherov thing. Like, a lot of guys, when they throw on their country's jersey, it just seems like they like bond together more. They're playing harder. You're seeing some tussles and everything. You're seeing there's some tussle between Joel Eriksson and who was someone in the, it was in the Rangers. No, it wasn't the Rangers. Anyways, like you saw, like there was some beef and everything happening in this tournament, because again, they're competitive guys. They want to win. They want to win for their country and everything. So I love the effort that we're seeing from these players and everything. So we get a drop pass from Barkov to Mikko Rantanen, who is walking up. He ends up walking along with number 12. I think that's Nyquist as well. Nyquist on Rantanen. Those are two different types of players. Nyquist, who had his career year last year, was 65 points. Rantanen was over 100. Rantanen is walking it up and he passes it all the way across to. I mean, it cracks me up. Olli Maatta is a defensive defenseman. I don't know what it is, but this past year, he just seemed like he was trying so hard to put goals on net. And he did. He was last year with the Red Wings. He was putting up some, like, you're like, why? How is he getting like 2 goals in 2 games or 2 goals in 3 games? You're like, offensive dynamo Olli Maatta, like, didn't see this, right? But you can see how far he's dropped down in the zone and everything too, because he has totally a ton of open ice. Again, Sweden, again, this is another issue. They're crowding around the middle of the ice, understandably, because you don't want to get a shot in from the slot. Like, you want to cause a lot of traffic, understandable. But again, no one is on the side of ice, and you have Olli Maatta completely open. So what ends up happening, Olli Maatta is walking it up, and he passes it straight across and who has their sticks down? It is Capo Caco and Barkov there. And so they both, as the puck's coming, both put their sticks down, create that deflection and everything. It tips off of a Kakko stick and then tips off Barkov's stick and goes in on the net past Ullmark. And so we have a tie game, folks, in the second period, with 3 minutes left on a tip-in shot. So again, this is Barkov's first goal, Kakko's first assist, and Olli Maatta's second assist of the tournament. Again, dude, look at Olli Maatta, point per game player. What? Crazy. So again, we're going to move on to the next goal that we got here. And last but absolutely certainly not least, we have the final goal that does happen in overtime. And by the way, at the end of this game, you kind of saw these guys in the last 3 minutes. You saw a ton of effort from Sweden in the third period. It was like, I mean, it was a great ton of effort, because mind you, like this tournament is, if you win in regulation, you get 3 points, which is huge. Again, Sweden lost in overtime, so they got 1 point, right? And Canada won in overtime in the Sweden versus Canada game, so they got 2 points, not 3, like the US got against Finland, right? So if you look at the standings, it was like US has 3 points from a regulation win. Canada has 2 points from an overtime win. Sweden has 1 point from an overtime loss, and then Finland has 0 points at this point. So what ends up happening is that you want to try a little harder, because, hey, like it's you need to be able to win. Like, you need to win in regulation, because that's how you get the most points. In my opinion, that's where the NHL should be going to, is a point system like that. But let me know what your thoughts are on that as well down in the comment box, or tweet at me at Undrafted Hockey Fan as well. I'm on BlueSky and I'm on Twitter. So hey, We're talking about this last goal, though. We're in overtime, which, by the way, is not 5 minutes. It's actually 10 minutes in this tournament. So we're actually seeing that the NHL is kind of tinkering with the times. I think it's better. I think it's like so much better to have 10 minutes. I think it kind of gasses guys out a little bit more, and you get to utilize more than just 5 or 6 players. Just rotating the same 3 guys because they're going to get super gassed. We saw that with Nathan MacKinnon, who played 4 shifts in 6 minutes with the Canadian team. So, I mean, it worked out for them, right? But you can see that it is still 3-on-3 in the overtime. So let's review what ends up happening. So you have number 10 for Sweden comes up. It is I forget who that is, but he's driving the net, and you can see he actually drives right into Kevin Lankinen, and he kind of the crazy thing is this like completely crossed the crease, and you can see that Kevin Lankinen, he kicks his leg back, and it actually kicks it out of the crease and everything. And so you're like, holy smokes, this is nerve wracking, right? So and Mikko ends up passing it out and gets it to Mikael Granlund, who, by the way, was recently traded from the so let's talk about his journey real quick. He was a Minnesota Wild. He was in the Nashville Predators, and then he eventually goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? Pittsburgh Penguins, so from Nashville to Pittsburgh Penguins. So Pittsburgh Penguins do a cap dump for none other than Erik Karlsson. So dumping Granlund over with Mike Hoffman, Jan Ruda, first round pick, and whatever, to the San Jose Sharks. So he's a cap dump, right? So you're like, oh, Mikael Granlund, like, is this guy even going to work out? Whatever. He has this. I mean, if you look at his stats from last year with the San Jose Sharks, he wore an A, by the way. He went from 36 points in 58 games with the Nashville Predators, right? So about 3 points every 5 games, basically. Pittsburgh Penguins, he had like a point every 4 games. Then he goes to the San Jose Sharks, puts up 60 points in 69 games, which is phenomenal, wearing the A. With the San Jose Sharks this year, he had 45 points in 52 games. Currently with Dallas, he's a point per game player. I mean, this guy's working out really well, and he's projected to have 72 points in 83 games because Dallas had at this point played 1 less game than San Jose. But again, this guy's wearing an A. This guy is an absolute monster. So what you see is that Granlund is walking it down Brodsky, and who is defending him? None other than the guy he was traded for, Erik Karlsson. But Erik Karlsson's defending Niko Mikkola and Granlund at this point. So, and Erik Karlsson is not known as a defensive defenseman at all. His defense is practically on the floor in comparison to all NHL players. Kick my butt, of course, right? The undrafted guy over here. So you can see Mikael Granlund is breaking out of the zone. He's got Mikkola. He's actually got Barkov trailing behind Mikkola as well. So Erik Karlsson's saying like, oh my God, I got me on the 2-on-1. What's the smart move that Granlund should do? He should go for the pass because that makes the most sense, right? You got 2 guys over there that can grab the puck and everything. So, but what does he do? He winds up, looks like he's going to go for the pass because the way he winds it up, and he rips it freaking 5-hole on Linus Ullmark, Vezina winner, best goalie in the league. And you have the Finnish team beats Sweden in overtime 4-3. And honestly, again, we're talking about rankings. Finland was projected to be the worst team in the league at this, or in the game at this point, or in the tournament. So you're like, okay, this is like, hey, like, what's going to happen with this? So they were supposed to be the worst, and you end up seeing that Finland's actually outshot by Sweden 24-21 on faceoffs. Finland did get it really well. I mean, that's Barkov to thank right there. And they utilized on the power play. They got the 2 power plays. They utilized it, got 1 there. Not a ton of penalties. They hit more. They blocked more. They did have more giveaways, but they did have more takeaways as well. To me, it did feel like, and I talked about this before, I felt that, let's get out of this screen. I felt like Finland was the higher effort team. I mean, it was just so much higher effort. Sweden, they're more talented, but it felt like they were trying to finesse it. It felt like they were trying to out-talent Finland, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work at all, and it was a really big. It was like cool to see because it was like it's like you have the naturally talented team and then the high effort team, right? And effort beats talent when talent's not working hard, right? And that's Finland was just all gas. These are the guys There's these are the guys. These are basically everyone besides one guy and all the injured guys. They lost Miro Heiskanen, who's their big number one defenseman, and who's playing top line minutes. Mikkola, like you're like he's your third pair guy on Florida, like so. To me, it was just so cool to see. It was like such a fun game. It was such a high effort. I actually thought this would have been a stinker. But like I said, it ended up being really cool. Again, and the reason I had this negative connotation to this tournament was because it was not the hyped up. It didn't feel like it meant a lot. Like you're like, oh, the guy's gonna get into it. Like first you see Pietrangelo drop out. You're like, oh, he's injured and everything. You're like, oh, other guys gonna drop out because they're injured as well. And it's like, no, dude, these guys want this. They want it bad. And we saw the high effort. Like, and honestly, it does take a little bit to get these guys like kind of acclimated themselves. We saw that with the U.S. versus Finland game, where it was a slow start. It felt like it was a low effort on not Finland side, on the U.S. side. It definitely felt like it was low effort at the start, first period. And you get some line jumbles and everything. In my mind, you're leaving the second period, and it is 2-1 U.S. Hi, buddy. Well, my kitty. If you're looking at the second period in the U.S. versus Finland, it is 2-1 states. But again, that's a 1 goal difference. So, and then you see they do some line change. They switch with the D pairs. They move Larkin up. By the way, who's on the fourth? It was on the fourth wing in the first period. Larkin played 2 minutes and 25 seconds in the first period. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so they finally do some line changes, get some guys who are really working out. Kyle Connor was not looking that great on the third pair or third line. Switching things around. And in the third period, U.S. actually ends up scoring 4 goals, 3 of them in the first 3 minutes, which is crazy. And I just saw that it takes these guys a little bit to warm up, which I'm happy they finally warmed up, because we're going to see a phenomenal game with Canada versus U.S. So I'll do a review of that tomorrow because it'll be late when it comes out. And maybe we'll do it tonight. I don't know. I might take an edible. So we'll see. Anyways, I love you guys. Hit like, subscribe. Really appreciate you guys jumping in. And let me know what your thoughts are. Also, I'm doing some Puckpedia breakdowns. I just did a Detroit Red Wings post-trade deadline, what I think they should be doing, what it will look like. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Love you.